Jumped out of the car to check if there was a plane that passed over or something hovering over. I figured it was a plane or something that blocked the sun rays out of the sky, or perhaps clouds, and maybe it was getting a bit overcast or anything that could explain what happened, but there was nothing outside that could have caused it to temporarily turn black. I've always joked around about how we live in a simulation, but maybe this is proof of that. Maybe it was some kind of UFO interference or some kind of dimensional glitch or jump. There's actually a website called, they talk about the Soul Guidance website that I went to, because it really does have a lot of these all compiled. So if anyone's interested, check that out. So there's something else that happened that I took notice of. A few days ago, I was changing out some shower curtains in my bathroom when I looked up at the shower head, and I yelled out, I've never ever seen the shower head before. It was huge and really nice, but it wasn't mine. I had a little tiny one, and my partner swears that we've had it for years. However, I don't remember it being anywhere on the shower or ever buying it. So at this point, I mean, I can feel my memory sort of fading away, and I think my brain is trying to cope with this new glitch or this new reality that I may have found myself in. Maybe it's always been like this, but maybe it hasn't. I don't know if I recognize the shower head, I wouldn't have any reaction to it because it always has been there. I stared at it hundreds of times in the shower, so how could I miss something like that? If I jumped dimensions, of course I wouldn't remember doing that at all. So that's where I think my previous time seeing the blackness in the sky triggered some kind of glitch effect that I'm now experiencing, even if no one else does. So yeah, that's two stories where after the sun glitches out like that, they end up with a glitch. Okay, everybody listening right now, just close your eyes and just imagine the shower head in your shower. I'm sure you can, check it. Everybody knows what shower head they use. A strange, random thing to have as a glitch though, right? There's a channel called Gensploration, like the word exploration, but Gen instead of X, so it's like Gen, Jen, and then Sploration. She has one of the most amazing videos of all time. I would suggest not just watching it, but downloading it to your hard drive. I believe the video is called something along the lines of Mandela Effect photographic evidence. One thing about the video is that it's physical, old-fashioned type photographs that have surfaced by one of her friends. And her friend found these pictures of her at a graduation of a college that she attended, but she didn't graduate from that college. She graduated from another college, but there's photographic evidence of her graduating and being in the ceremony and hanging out with some friends. But the thing about a few of these photos is that she said she would never have had her clothes that way, her hair that way. But there's all these pictures of her at this place, and she says while these pictures were being taken, she was somewhere else. She at a different college, and she never attended the ceremony. She knew what the pictures were, but she said she wasn't there. The other thing is that in one of the pictures, it seems like she's missing an arm or hand. Now, something that I just kind of heard or found out about is that when you run a program through AI, artificial intelligence, to make these programs like these people do on these websites, like they type in lighthouse on a beach, blah, blah, blah. AI can give you 5 or 6 different results of different types of lighthouses on a beach, and you choose one and you use that in your artwork, right? No big deal. I guess that there's this thing that happens a lot where the computer makes mistakes with hands a lot. It either deletes a hand or arm from a human's body a lot, or it adds an extra one. So I almost forgot to add this part. The comment. So one of the comments when they posted these on Facebook was something along the lines of, ha ha ha, yeah, this only happens to military brats. Well, the girl in the picture, the one that we're talking about that had the strange arm missing and the hairdo kind of all over the place. Her dad either was in the military really high up and didn't talk about what he did, or he still is. I don't know. I don't know the girl particularly. I just know the girl that runs the channel. If I was gonna do a Sherlock Holmes detective work on this thing, I would say there is strong evidence that these pictures are being put together by AI. When you watch the video, Jen brings up the fact that the woman in question doesn't just show up places disheveled. She presents a picture that's a real picture of her friend, and she has her hair all nice. She's a very pretty, beautiful girl, and she has her makeup done, and her clothes aren't just going to be all raggedy and weird. And that leads you to believe that something fake is like trying to put something together and trying to pass it off on us, and it's not working. The strange disheveledness of the thing, it just looks like some computer like patched these things together and threw it out there. The reason of this could be maybe high-ranking military does have some kind of like thing that can like manipulate the past or something. There's no reason to believe that the past can't be changed too. There's actually reason to believe the past can be changed because of the the quantum eraser experiment. If you look that up, the quantum physicists have put together an experiment that is like an extension of the double slit experiment, whereas the quantum entangled photons are sending back history information to like their twin. Very strange experiment indeed. One of the other stories that I reported on is that the military can detect when somebody is messing with time, where that one guy that was working in his garage had that strange experience, and then the military guys were walking outside with him, asking him where his time machine was, and he looked it up, and it said that the military can detect time anomalies. If they can detect time anomalies, that means they know the actual real substance of time, not the fake whatever clocks are doing. Because in my last episode, I think 14 or whatever, I brought up that clocks don't necessarily measure time. They measure energy escaping the storage area or energy escaping the wall socket. They don't measure actual time. But I think if somebody can detect time anomalies, then they actually probably can manipulate it. And it's likely that these things aren't perfect, and they make little side effects when they do it, and they have a little computer that puts together these editing things that do it. That's just seems like that. It seems more likely than strange doppelgangers getting pictured at graduation ceremonies for no reason. Some multiverse type thing that the military works with. It seems more likely that somebody's messing with a machine and they're using AI to try to cover the tracks or recreate some type of scenario, and it's not perfect. It's making mistakes, and we're catching these mistakes. The other thing is that it's actually, I think this was on Jen Sploderson's channel as well, is that she brought up a picture of a young boy in a Halloween costume for the Monopoly guy. And it appeared that there used to be a monocle on the picture, and it appears like somebody took like a smudge stick to it or an eraser and went around where a monocle would be and kind of blurred it out. So there seems to be these like almost someone's going back and editing things. And it's done even to physical paper photos you hold in your hand. It just blew my mind to see that that's one of the artifacts that AI does. AI makes specific mistakes when it does photos. They have a hard time with like background, I heard was a thing. And like earrings and jewelry is difficult. And hands and arms seem to be something that AI as of 2022 can't really figure out yet. So bizarre, right? I have a couple theories. I have like kind of a theory on like whatever's causing these glitches. If there's a vibrational effect causing a glitch, you could have an overtone pattern that could make other glitches that weren't intended. Anytime something has a vibration, if you imagine a rubber band being pulled and snapped, it doesn't just come back perfectly straight. It comes back pieces at a time, bending at smaller parts. So in music, we call this overtones. And they're not necessarily intended notes to be happening. So if you're playing an instrument like a guitar or a piano, there's no such thing as a pure note. So every note has other notes inside of it. For example, if you hit the note C, it doesn't matter if you hit middle C or any other C, you end up with a G, another C, an E, and then another C above that E, and then an E again, and then a G, and then a B flat, and I think there's an F sharp in there somewhere. So these are called overtones, and they have to do with the way a string wiggles back and forth. It doesn't just wiggle back and forth the way you see it like in diagrams like on YouTube or something. They bend. And when they bend, that makes a shorter string effect of a note. They're quieter, so you don't hear them as much. But if you sit in a silent room and you hit a string on a piano, and if you just hit it seems to work better with lower notes, like you can hear them more clear. So if you hit a like a really low C on a piano, and the room is really, really quiet, and you'd really, really listen really close, you'll hear a couple extra notes. The louder ones tend to be the fifths and the thirds. So you tend to hear, an example of this is like a C. If you hit a C really, really loud and you stand there and let that note ring out for a few seconds, you probably have a good chance of hearing a G somewhere and an E somewhere. And if somebody has a machine that can cause these weird effects like the Mandela Effect or glitch in the matrix type effects, whatever we call those things, where something just shows up or something just disappears, there could be unintended consequences that the person, if such a machine exists, I have no idea, but I'm just using this as a thought experiment. If it uses some kind of weird vibration, some weird magnetism or something that's it's like wiggling back and forth really, really fast, it's possible that there's something like an overtone effect to this vibration. So I don't know if these machines exist or not, but some of the questions that come up with some of these glitches is, why would there be like these insignificant glitches like a shower head or the neighbor buying a blue car and then the next day he comes out and it's red, and all the records show that it's always been red, and half the people remember it always being red. The idea that is, if the machine works the same way as like a pattern where in music you intend to hit the note F, but an A natural and a C natural come out with it. Maybe these machines, when they intend to, delete a movie they lost millions of dollars on from existence, that two other strange effects come up that have nothing to do with the movie. And that's the idea of an overtone pattern. Notes coming out of music that aren't necessarily intended, but in some way is a harmony. If somebody wants to delete anything, maybe they delete 2 or 3 extra things and they're not even trying to. Maybe even it's more. Maybe because there's more than, 2 notes of an overtone. There's a whole system to it. But speaking of the Mandela Effect, some of the best places to get stories is the comments of the video. Let's check this one out. You guys are lucky to have found the photos. I had several dozen photos of me in a World War II German warship that was in Bremerhaven, Germany, that I have taken, and I had a few taken of me on the ship. I had them in a photo album and was quite fond of my visits to this ship. I was writing a book about this ship a few years ago and went to scan some of the photographs for the chapter about the ship in my book. The photos are gone. Imagine how surprised I was when I went online to get some photos of the ship and found out that it was never built and it has never been docked at the pier in Bremerhaven, even though the submarine that was in front of it is still there. Yeah, Back to the Future is about right, is what he's saying. When I was 15, I went to the zoo with my friend and her young children to help look after them for the day. We took photos of the day, and when I look back on them, I see myself wearing 2 different outfits on the same day. The zoo was 15 miles from my home, and I'm not in the habit of carrying spare sets of clothing with me. To this day, it freaks me out to see the photos. My friend was freaked out too. We would not believe this stuff if it had not happened to me. I found a picture of my dad in an army uniform, and I never knew he was in the army, so I asked him about the photo. He was pretty confused, so I showed him the photo, and he just stared at it and said, I was never in the army. I recently just discovered a personal Mandela effect similar to the one you've shown in this video. While flipping through my boot camp yearbook, I found a picture of myself doing the rappel tower. Creepy thing is, I was never there. I 100% vividly remember that I stayed behind that day to help with something at the barracks. I'd like to thank everybody for checking out the podcast. My Patreon is patreon.com/ParadoxWalk. I'd like to thank my first Patreon, Roxy, and the music is Downbeat 88. The opening track is called The Dark. The ending track is called Moment of Peace. Remember to check out the RSS feed. I'm on Red Circle, and now the podcast is on Amazon, Spotify, BitChute, and YouTube. So have a good day. Thanks for listening.